when you're talking about labor shortages, the only way to fix labor shortage is to allow immigrants into the country. Now, some other things are also tied to this stuff. I think the protest in the UK actually driven towards, the government not integrating, not doing so much to integrate the immigrants into
Yeah.
the English society. And then, people felt there was a divergence of
Like they
culture.
were losing their
And yes, they
culture,
were losing their culture.
and the
And,
government was
you know,
prioritizing
it
the
brought up,
culture of the immigrants
yes,
ahead of the British
yes.
culture.
So, in that way, there was a clash there between the will of the people, because majority of the people wanted to preserve their culture. Mostly the native population of the UK wanted to preserve their culture, and then that sentiment came in and everything. But I felt that, okay, in the past government, even though the former prime minister of the UK was not a even though he was not a native English speaker, he recognized this. And the conservative government was already taking steps and means to foster, unity and, respect for that culture that was already that people already felt was diverging. But you see, there was a lot of other things that
So
people
yeah,
so it's
so
always
I think yeah,
economics and
but
everything,
I won't want to
made
even
them lose
major
their option
on
and
the I
everything.
won't want to major too much on the UK issue.
Yes.
But like personally for me, like when you have like 1 million people,
Mm.
over 1 million people crossing into your border, the UK is like a population of 60 million. You have read, and
Very true.
just last year, they had like over 1 million people crossing into the border, right? So I have to confirm that. But when you have over 1 million people coming into your border of a population of 60 million, bro, it's a cause for concern because how are you going to integrate 1 million people into your society at once?
Okay, okay. Let me say something. Talking about the concept of immigration, it's in this globalized world is a new concept. So nobody really knows how to deal with it. You are stuck between, having compassion for people that are
Yeah,
running away from
yeah,
economic distress,
yeah,
war, dictatorship, whatever. And at the same time, you are also knowing that, these people, some way, somehow, they are going to, affect the kind of culture you've known, just like a British person, that has maybe grown up in the UK
yeah,
for like 50, 60 years. What he knew as the UK in the 1980s or even London in the 1980s is very different from London today. Even London in 2010 is very different from London of today.
yeah,
So sometimes that change is so rapid to them, like, and they're like, no, 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 we can't. I feel is a human, will I say, human beings are territorial.
yeah,
We are
yeah.
very territorial.
Very true.
So yeah, so it just happens like that. Even us as we are saying it now as Nigerian, like as Nigerians, if we just saw that, let's say a group of people from let's say Togo or Benin, it just came in.
Ghana must go.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
came
like
in,
even Ghana must
and
go.
within
Yes.
5 years they have communities. They are now doing their own things, and then you're now seeing like the normal Nigerian culture of, oh, also maybe there's a way you
Pidgin, you can't speak
communicate with,
pidgin.
yeah, and then you come, people can't speak pidgin and they are speaking French all around.
Yeah,
There's this kind of way that you're going to feel like,
yeah.
something is not
But
really
I
right
think
here.
even
So
the
so it just
okay.
I just feel they have concerns, but resulting to violence.
Yeah, sure, 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 sure.
Yeah,
I
and
know that.
and it's easy to play on the sentiments of these people. That's another thing that happens.
So okay, my question from what you just said now is like, so based on what you're saying, okay, and I think also Josh was saying something like that, that the government may have legitimate reasons as to support something, like in this case for migration, but probably there are labor shortages in certain sectors of the economy
Mhm.
that the government has to fill,
Mhm.
right? So that the economy doesn't collapse. All right, that's a legitimate point. So now the problem is this: how can the government, or why is it that there's this distinction of views, pretty much,
Mhm.
from how the people perceive it and how the people, how the government in the quote perceives it. Like, is it that there's not enough education, right, of the citizens on the delicacies of the matter, like the intricacies of the matter, like migration, like how is needed? Okay, is it like they need to educate more people, or pass out more, be more open to people about the issues, right, and the reason why they're carrying out these policies, right? Or is it that uh, the people are just like in this code far right, so let's just
Okay.
exclude them?
Should I just
Yeah,
make
go
a
ahead, bro.
point?
Go ahead.
Okay. One thing about human beings, um, you know, people tend to hold on to a negative experience much longer than a positive one.
Mm.
That's one. And sometimes the way a government views things is different from how the people on the ground view things. That's why there's always this complaint that sometimes when people get into government, they become tone deaf. Like a government might view migrants and all those people in terms of numbers, economy, what do they view them on paper, but the people might view them in their daily experience. Do you get? So it's easy for the government to say, okay, there's this Pakistani community, they bring in jobs, they sell
Yeah.
gold and all. But then a a man, a British man, let's say in a city like Birmingham, might see that the school he used to take his daughter to has changed. And let's say before it was just the normal regular routine, and then he's now seeing that, oh, it's becoming more like there is more of a Pakistani culture in his daughter's school, which
Yeah.
he might not be comfortable with. And then let's say some guys in his daughter's school are now like bashing her, like, why you not wearing a hijab? It's just, and she comes to tell him. Now that's a social
Issue, right?
issue that the
Mm.
man has felt. So,
Obvious.
and sometimes your social issues are much more relatable because your everyday experience, and then you now to be able to, so it now becomes very sentimental to the person. So, but the government might not experience that because all they see is numbers, all they see is jobs, all
Yeah.
they see is positions that
And they are
you
surrounded by
feel.
security.
Yeah, so
Yes,
so
sir.
so they might not always feel it the
The
way
actually.
a person
So
does. And another thing is, as I said, it's easier to relate, or for a negative experience to stick to you more. You might meet 100 Pakistani people as a white British man that were all cool to you and all nice, and you just shook their hand and everybody went. That is that, and you just take it normal. But you might meet one or two of those people that will give you a very terrible negative experience, and you now begin to use that to judge the way every other person is. So it's just, even like in the US with migrants, most migrants, all they just want is probably like just some economic,
yeah,
yes,
benefits.
benefits. But when a normal US citizen commits a crime, it's easier to view it like, okay, crime is one of those things that
Yeah.
happen, than when a migrant commits a crime.
Sure,
You're now
sure,
like,
sure,
oh, why are
sure.
you bringing these people? So
Mm.
those are some of the
The social
yeah
and cultural
issue
issues.
cultural
So
issue.